to hang together, or else we would hang separately, and fight for what we thought was right. We stood up to the leadership, the Republic, Kirk Adams. I got called into the principal's office. I got called up to the governor's office because I would not budge on support that was in that budget. And we wanted more reductions in spending in areas that we felt were not as critical as other areas. And if you're asking us to reduce spending in education and health care for the poor, then we're not going to spend all this money on this pork stuff. And if you want us to vote for this, you've got to cut this out. And there were 9 of us that refused to vote for that budget. And one by one, they dragged us into the Speaker's office, and one by one, they dragged us into the Governor's office and tried to twist our arms.
And one by one, you kicked their butt.
And one by one, we said, respectfully, look, I represent District 30, and the voters in District 30 sent me here on a mission. And the mission is to cut spending and get the state back in financial shape. And what you're asking me to do doesn't do that. And we stood the line. Now, the governor was very angry with us, and we were warned that it would damage our political future. But sure enough, the next year with the budget, we did the same thing. But this time, instead of 9, we had 14 that were now on board saying, no, we're going to hold the line. We're not going to allow some of this unnecessary spending to go in. We're going to hold the line. And then last year, we had a lot more than that, where we really held the line and said, no more gimmicks. We're going to pass this budget. We got to pass it. Yeah, did we step on toes? I don't care. I don't care. I bruised some egos. I don't care. I don't work for Jan Brewer. I don't work for Kirk Adams. I don't work for Russell Pierce. I work for you. So when I go up there and they tell me, oh, Antenori, you better do this or there could be problems, I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'm not up there to make friends. I'm up there to do a job. And I can do that same thing in Washington. If you think that John Boehner's going to intimidate me, he can try. I'll sit there and listen to him, but if it's not the right thing to do, I'm not going to do it. And I am not going to vote for it. I mean, it's that simple. No, I have demonstrated this here in Phoenix. I have you can ask the governor. She says all sorts of things about me. Because I stand up and I say, yeah, you're the governor, but I'm a state senator and my district doesn't like what you're thinking about doing, so I'm going to fight you on this because I don't like what you're doing. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I respect her in her office, but to disagree with her is my prerogative as a representative of 200,000 people. And that's the mindset that we have got to have. We have got people that are in this race that I believe, some say they received the calling, some say they felt they had to do it or whatever, that's fine. Okay, but they basically have not done anything for this state or this community or even for the Republican Party. Nothing. We have some that have been out of state for almost a year. We have some that were living overseas for 3-4 years, just literally flew back and drove back the day after Congresswoman Giffords announced that she was going to be stepping down. They literally came to Arizona the next day. That shows that they didn't have any stock or investment in this state because they were able to leave for a long period of time or were living out abroad and they didn't care. Then we have other folks that were literally sitting on the sidelines. We had battles going on in this state. We had the redistricting battle going on where we were fighting this fight, trying to stand up to make sure we didn't disenfranchise 250,000 voters in southern Arizona and allow the redistricting commission to run over southern Arizona and throw us under the bus. We fought that fight. Where were all these guys at? Where were they at? Where were they?
We're here.
They didn't seem to care. All of a sudden now they're coming in here asking for you to trust them with your vote and send them to represent you. They have not demonstrated they've had the ability to fight for you. They have not taken on the establishment or the media or anybody else to show that they have the political guts and courage to take on that fight. They have not demonstrated for you when they talk about, I'm going to cut spending, I'm going to create jobs. And, okay, that's great. Theories are great. You know, remember what happened when the country voted for Hike the last time? Look what we got. With a guy that talked a really good game but had no record. And he promised all this stuff, but then he never delivered. Great campaign speeches, but he had no feet on the ground where he walked the walk. He could talk the talk, but he couldn't walk the walk. Everybody else in this race is going to talk a good game. They're going to waive the Constitution. They're going to throw quotes from Ronald Reagan at you. They're going to say a lot of nifty things. But when it comes down to it, you got to ask yourself, what have they done? What is their record? Have they cut spending? Have they cut taxes? Have they pushed bills out that promote job growth, cut regulation, did tort reform the insurance in this state? I did every one of those things. Did everyone. They have done nothing. And it's just the brutal, honest truth. They're good people. Good people. But the reality is they are not prepared to step into this job the day after the election is over. And that is the unvarnished truth. So, again, with that, I'm going to open up the questions because I know a lot of folks have been talking to you, walking around, have a lot of questions. I'd be happy to answer any question for you guys.
So, just, you probably noticed, if you are interested in getting something in the building, we've got some wings and some pretzels here. If you want to just kind of quietly make your way to get that, and then open the floor up to Frank. Please don't feel bad.
I don't want the food to get cold, so if you want to sneak over there.
Cold wings are not cool.
Yeah, no,
well, they're cool, but they're not good.
Happy to answer any questions that any guys. Sure, Mark.
So, it distresses me that Justice Kagan is going to accuse herself of hearing the healthcare bill for the healthcare case. If any other attorney in private practice or in the judiciary at the state level refused to do that, they would be subject to sanctions. Can you tell me what your thoughts are on what you might do?
Well, she was the Solicitor General at the time, and she also heard that case in, I believe, an appellate sort of position. You know, it's up to the Senate. I mean, I wish I could do something about it over in the House, but it's really up to the U.S. Senate to step up and say that she needs to recuse herself. I mean, those are the folks that have to step up and continue the check and balance. The Senate is the check and balance at the federal level. They're responsible for impeachment of the President and Supreme Court.
So to follow that up, would you communicate the position to Senator Kyle and Senator King?
Sure. But they are aware of it. Trust me, they are very aware of that she should recuse, she should do the right thing. Nobody's really asking her to do it. She has clearly made a decision on the issue in advance. She has advocated for a particular point of view on this issue. That, to most people, would be a conflict. And most people would say, okay, due to that, I would have to recuse myself because I've already clearly stated my position. I cannot be impartial on this decision. So that would be the right thing to do. But we know a lot of times the other side doesn't do the right thing. They just do what they want. So,
we all know that Cap and Trade is going to go up against him probably next year. What's your position on that, and what would be your strategy to stop it in its tracks?
Well, the best strategy is to make sure you have a Republican majority in the House and Senate that is conservative and understands that we would cripple our industry even more and ship more jobs overseas, because when you hamper those manufacturing jobs, those industries, and make it more expensive for them because you're going to increase their energy costs. If you're a manufacturing company, you've got a lot of machinery, you burn a lot of electricity, and if cap and trade would go in effect, those industries would not be able to afford to operate at the level they are today. So you got to oppose her in every sector. So, sure. Here. When George Bush left office, the price of gas, I believe, was $1.83 a gallon, was the national average. We're at $3.40 something now. I think $3.49. I filled up the Casa Grande on the way down here, right? So we're almost double right now where the price of gas was just 4 years ago. We have oil under the feet of about 40% of the states in this country. The entire northern part of the country is full of shale oil up there. Huge amount. We have off the coast of Virginia, offshore, tons of oil. Gulf of Mexico, tons of oil. Alaska, tons of oil. But we can't touch it because there are people out there who don't understand modern technology and the ability to extract oil. They think it's going to destroy the environment, just like the folks that thought the little caribou would be all screwed up if they built a pipeline from Prudhoe Bay down Anchorage, Alaska. But the caribou love the pipeline because it melts the snow and exposes all the nice green grass because they have to heat the oil to keep it going through there, and they are thriving now because of this pipeline. Again, it's all scare tactics to try to oppose it. If that pipeline goes through, and we can get oil from Canada down to the refineries in the Gulf of Mexico, it will have a significant decrease in the cost of gasoline. Reducing the cost of gasoline, for every penny you reduce the price of gas and you put into the pocket of people and businesses, you expand the economy. If they're spending less money on transportation and less money on putting gas in their car or gas in their trucks or their trains or whatever they can use that money for something else. They're not burning it up, and they're not shipping it over to Saudi Arabia or down to Venezuela. So we are also the Saudi Arabia of coal. This is another thing. I was just back east, and I cannot believe we still have houses burning oil. They burn oil. I was driving down the road, and there's the big home heating oil truck with the guy running the hose up to the house to fill the oil tanks on the side of the house. I'm like, why? And if we had nuclear power to produce the electricity to heat these homes, or even coal generation, right? Yeah, natural. We have that. Why are we? The only thing that should be burning oil is stuff that moves. If it doesn't move, it should be hooked up to the grid, and the grid should be augmented with coal, gas, and nuclear. Right? If we have those resources here, everybody screams, like the Fukushima plant out in Japan after a tsunami. That was a terrible tragedy. Japan is in exactly a great spot. They're right on the edge of the ocean, and they're right on an earthquake fault. Really not smart to build nuclear plants right on an earthquake fault, and right next to the ocean where you can get hit with a tidal wave. But we have places in this country where it's very safe to build nuclear plants, where there's virtually no or hasn't been any seismic activity for hundreds of years. We can build those plants. We can extract coal. We got tons of coal here in Saudi Arabia.